Hello and welcome to Science and Sleep, a place where science and imagination dance together in the peaceful moments of the night. I am very happy that you have come here. Try to imagine you are curled up in a warm blanket, or reclining on a sofa, or listening to us under a star-filled sky. Wherever you are, I am honored to accompany you on a journey to explore the subtle mysteries of sleep and the universe. If this is your first visit, please hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss these gentle yet curious adventures. And to those who have been with us for a long time, heartfelt thanks from the bottom of my heart. Your support makes this little corner of the internet ever more vibrant. Stay until the end of the video, because tonight, I promise you, every minute will unfold a wonder. When the first tiny organisms discovered how to convert sunlight into energy, they did not know that they were laying the foundation for everything we call life. Photosynthesis, seemingly simple yet full of power, gradually transformed the ancient oceans from a hot and toxic environment into a cradle for life. Each molecule of oxygen they released was like a building block for the modern atmosphere, an invisible protective layer for the planet, while also enabling complex organisms to evolve. We, humans breathing the oxygen-rich air today, are the result of those billions of years of silent labor. But the story does not stop with cyanobacteria. The first algae appeared as a result of symbiosis, carrying chloroplasts, genetic museums preserving the ancient DNA of cyanobacteria. From there, plants gradually formed, ushering in the green era on Earth. The vast fields, dense forests, and lush foliage we see today are all products of an evolutionary journey that began with floating organisms under the sunlight. Every leaf, every sprout continues the photosynthetic work of bacterial ancestors, producing oxygen, absorbing carbon dioxide, and nourishing entire ecosystems. The extraordinary thing is, all of this happens in silence. No hands, no words, no brain. Just sunlight, water, carbon dioxide, and time. The towering trees in ancient forests, or the wildflowers growing by the roadside, all carry the ability to create life. When they sway in the wind or emit their delicate fragrance, you are witnessing the result of a great evolutionary process, a complex network that science is still gradually uncovering. Plants not only provide oxygen, but are also a source of energy and nutrition for all living beings on Earth. They provide food, shelter, and building materials. They heal us from herbs to modern medicine. Even human dreams, where we imagine and create, are influenced by this green world. Without trees, without grass, without photosynthesis, we would not exist, not only as individual life, but as human civilization. But photosynthesis is not just a series of chemical reactions. It is also a silent rhythm connecting all living things on the planet. Tree roots communicate with soil microorganisms, sharing information and nutrients. Leaves interact with light and air, creating their own microclimate. Every forest, every field is a living network where plants, microorganisms, insects, birds, and other creatures exist according to the quiet rhythm of nature. Understanding how the green world operates is understanding how this planet sustains and heals itself. The greatness of plants also lies in their adaptability and resilience. From cracks in city sidewalks to the Amazon rainforest, from vast grasslands to arid deserts, plants always find a way to survive. They absorb light, absorb water, and produce oxygen regardless of how harsh the environment is. Looking at golden rice fields, towering red forests, we see silent perseverance, a lesson in living slowly while making a profound impact. Another miracle is the interconnection between plants and other organisms. Through symbiotic relationships, plants nourish soil microorganisms. Pollinating insects ensure the reproduction of flowers. Birds and mammals spreading seeds help plant new trees. Each small action contributes to a closed cycle, continuously developing and sustaining life. Without plants, this cycle collapses. Ecosystems fail and complex life would disappear. From a human perspective, we might consider plants passive, but in reality, they are silent engineers. Every leaf is an energy factory. Every root is a chemical engineer. Every seed is a message sent to the future. And while we often do not notice them, plants quietly keep the planet green, regulate temperature, stabilize the climate, and provide the oxygen we breathe every second. The power of plants does not come from noise or force, but from persistence and consistency. Like ancient cyanobacteria, they create change in a silent yet irreversible way. oxygenating the atmosphere, enabling biodiversity, and maintaining planetary stability, all stem from the simple yet powerful capability of photosynthesis. This is clear proof that great things do not necessarily have to be large or violent. Sometimes they only need to quietly do their work over billions of years. When you walk through a park, seeing young grass, shrubs, or small roadside flowers, remember that you are witnessing the legacy of the first great engineers. Every breath you take, every drop of water you drink, every bite of food you eat bears the imprint of photosynthesis. And when you sit quietly in the shade of an ancient tree, imagine that you are harmonizing with a story spanning billions of years, a story of life, patience, and the generosity of the green world. The plant world, in its quietness and simplicity, has transformed a hot, chaotic planet into an ideal home for diverse life. It is proof that the greatest changes sometimes do not come from explosions, but from small, slow, yet persistent steps. And in every leaf, every sprout, we realize that true power lies in the ability to create life, nurture life, and keep the planet green in silence, quietly, and completely indispensably. When the first plants crawled over rocks and bare soil, they not only changed the appearance of the Earth's surface, but also gradually adjusted the planet's breathing. Every mat of moss, every tiny liverwort clinging to a damp surface absorbed carbon dioxide, released oxygen, and created stable microenvironments for other organisms. These simple moss layers, seemingly anonymous, were the first ecological architects, transforming barren surfaces into soil capable of supporting life. Over millions of years, the dead moss decomposed, accumulating into nutrient-rich humus, softening the terrain and beginning to create more diverse habitats, small valleys, water-retaining grooves where insects, fungi, and microorganisms could survive. Next, delicate herbaceous plants began to expand their influence. They were not towering like modern trees, but they could grow upward, provide shade, and gradually form ecological stepping stones for taller plants later on. Their leaves absorbed sunlight, converted energy, and released oxygen, each leaf a miniature photosynthesis factory, enriching the atmosphere and maintaining ecological balance. As their roots began to penetrate the soil, they prevented erosion, stabilized the landscape, and formed underground networks where microorganisms and symbiotic fungi coexisted, exchanging nutrients and energy. These small improvements, accumulated over millions of years, led to the emergence of woody plants, ferns, and the first shrubs. They expanded the photosynthetic surface, increasing oxygen concentration in the atmosphere and creating conditions for complex animals to develop. As the atmosphere became richer in oxygen, giant insects appeared, flying and crawling everywhere, a testament to the latent power of plants. Even when we look at today's Amazon rainforest, with its towering trees and canopies stretching for miles, we are still witnessing the legacy of the first steps taken on land hundreds of millions of years ago. But the remarkable aspect is not just in size or quantity. Terrestrial life, beginning with small, low plants, developed through the intricate coordination between photosynthesis and respiration between plants and other organisms. Symbiotic fungi, or mycorrhizae, formed strong connections with plant roots, helping plants absorb water and nutrients more efficiently while receiving sugars from photosynthesis in return. This is one of the earliest examples of ecological cooperation, a survival strategy still present in most modern plants. At the same time, plants gradually shaped the global climate. By absorbing carbon dioxide, they reduced the greenhouse effect, lowered global temperatures, and stabilized the environment. The expanding plant cover changed the way rainwater flowed through the soil, affecting rivers, valleys, and terrain. Simply by their presence, these pioneering green species created a planet capable of supporting complex food chains, from microorganisms and insects to larger animals. The miracle is that this process occurs entirely silently in the slow and patient rhythm of nature. No drums, no explosions, just growth, bit by bit, leaf by leaf, root by root, moss mat by moss mat. Over millions of years, the world became greener, the soil richer, the air cleaner, and new opportunities for life emerged. The small advances of the first mosses and herbaceous plants led to the formation of forests, grasslands, and finally the rich landscapes we see today. Even today, the role of mosses and small plants cannot be overlooked. In peat bogs, they store carbon, purify water, and create habitats for numerous small organisms. In forests, they maintain humidity, help large trees grow, and provide shelter for insects, birds, and other animals. In city parks or cracks in stone walls, they silently remind humans that life can thrive in the harshest places. Terrestrial plants also teach us a lesson about patience and slow evolution. Not all life appears quickly or explosively. The evolution from drifting ocean algae to moss, from moss to herbaceous plants, from shrubs to woody trees, and finally to old growth forests is a chain of adaptation spanning millions of years. It teaches us that true power lies in the ability to survive, adapt, and maintain balance, not in noise or haste, but in the silent rhythm of nature. By greening the land, absorbing carbon, releasing oxygen, and creating microenvironments, plants open the door for entire ecosystems to develop. From fragile moss mats, animals began to find food, shelter, and space to evolve. From there, more complex organisms emerged: insects, amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, and eventually humans. Every step depended on the silent power of plants, the first ecological architects. Looking around the world today, we see rainforests, grasslands, gardens, and even small roadside vegetation, all extensions of the first steps onto land. Their presence maintains atmospheric oxygen, stabilizes soil, regulates climate, and nourishes all living beings on Earth. They do not shout, they do not run, yet every molecule of oxygen they release, every speck of humus they produce, is evidence of the silent but extraordinary power of the green world. And because of this, when you next step past a tree, a moss mat, or see small seedlings emerging from a concrete crack, remember that you are witnessing a history spanning hundreds of millions of years. You are harmonizing with the planet's breath, with the patience and persistence of the first ecological architects. From simple microorganisms in the ancient ocean to today's vast forests, plants have always stood at the center, quietly laying the foundation for all life we know. Under the forest canopy, life does not just exist. It operates according to a subtle rhythm, connected to every leaf, every drop of water, and every root fiber. Each leaf, from the tiniest to the largest, is an energy factory, converting sunlight into sugars and releasing oxygen. But it does much more than that. As water vapor escapes from the stomata, it draws vitality from the soil, transporting water and minerals through the plant's vascular system, spreading moisture and influencing the surrounding climate. If you stand in a primeval forest, you can feel the cool, humid atmosphere, part of a life cycle that millions of years of evolution have refined to perfection. Trees do not merely absorb carbon dioxide, they turn the entire forest into a vast climate control system. Billions of leaves synchronize, releasing water vapor into the sky, generating rainfall, regulating temperature, and maintaining ecological balance on a large scale. But the forest does not stop at gas exchange. The soil layer beneath the canopy is a bustling world where roots, fungi, and microorganisms form a complex living network. Roots not only anchor the trees, but also act as architectural structures, digging into the soil, breaking rocks, creating gaps for water infiltration, and dissolving minerals. Mycorrhizal fungi extend, weaving into every tiny soil particle, bringing phosphorus, nitrogen, and essential nutrients to the trees, while receiving sugars from photosynthesis in return. This symbiosis is not merely a survival strategy, it is the foundation of all terrestrial ecosystems. Underground fungal networks connect tree to tree, allowing information and nutrients to spread, creating a unified forest community that supports one another. Thanks to this, ancient forests could thrive in areas once considered harsh, where no plants could previously survive. While roots and fungi work below ground, the canopy above plays an equally important role. The leaves are not only nature's solar panels, but also form multi-layered shade, creating rich habitats for insects, amphibians, birds, and other animals. The forest transforms from two dimensions into a three-dimensional world, where light, shadow, temperature, and humidity stratify, promoting biodiversity and forming complex ecological relationships. A small insect seeks shelter on a leaf, a bird builds a nest on a branch, a fungus decomposes fallen leaves on the ground, all blending into a vibrant symphony with trees at the center. Trees are also the Earth's carbon banks. Over millions of years, as leaves fall, trunks decay, or are buried, most carbon is retained in the wood, roots, and sediments, forming vast coal deposits. The coal humans burn today is a store of ancient sunlight, the energy accumulated by trees through photosynthesis. This demonstrates that trees not only shape the climate, but also preserve the memory of the earth, encapsulated in every strand of wood and layer of fertile soil. The humble behavior of trees, standing still, absorbing light, exchanging gases, growing roots, is how the earth maintains sustainable balance, a balance that humans are still learning from and striving to maintain. Beyond biology or climate, the rise of green plants changes how energy moves across the planet. Water is drawn from the soil, released through leaves, mixed into the atmosphere, and falls as rain. The water cycle links soil, plants, the atmosphere, and oceans, creating a rhythm of life for the entire planet. Trees are regulation stations, the pumps of the earth, keeping ecosystems stable and allowing life to thrive both broadly and deeply. Every forest, every field, every vegetation mat is a center of energy, operating with astonishing persistence, proving that true power does not require noise or force, but resides in patience and subtlety. Imagine the forest canopy stretching across ancient continents. Above, towering club mosses, giant ferns, and spore producing mosses create a lush green layer. Below, roots entwine with fungi, microorganisms, earthworms, and insects to form fertile soil. Carbon dioxide is absorbed, oxygen is released, water circulates, and temperature is regulated. Everything happens simultaneously, tightly connected, forming a dynamic and self regulating system. These primeval forests are living architectures, magnificent biological constructions that no human hand could build. From an evolutionary perspective, green plants are living proof of patience and adaptability. They do not flee, they do not hunt, yet they change the world. From lower plants without roots or vascular systems, such as mosses and liverworts, to plants with woody vessels, rigid stems, and broad leaves, they gradually transformed barren lands into lush green expanses, from dry surfaces into dense forests. This evolution was not hurried, but spanned hundreds of millions of years, with each step leaving a profound mark on Earth. In this way, forests are not merely landscapes. They are living systems, climate regulators, energy banks, information networks, and the foundation of all terrestrial life. Every tree, every root, every fungal filament, every leaf participates in a grand cycle, turning sunlight, water, and minerals into vitality, biodiversity, and climate balance. Without them, the Earth would be an empty planet, a dry, barren rock devoid of green, oxygen, or life. Plants are the most silent yet powerful architects in the history of the planet. They do not shout, they do not race, yet every breath we take today depends on them. From transforming barren surfaces into fertile soil to regulating climate, forming water cycles, maintaining ecological networks, and storing solar energy over millions of years, trees are proof of the power of patience, symbiosis, and evolution. When you look up at dense forest canopies, you are witnessing a living history written in roots, leaves, wood, and spores. A story of how life can transform a planet from dry rock into fertile green land where everything, including us, can survive. Under the sunlight, flowers are an evolutionary masterpiece, a declaration of vitality and the intricate connection between living beings. When they bloom, they are not only a visual feast, but also a biological symphony in which every scent, color, and shape is designed to communicate with pollinators, from tiny bees to colorful butterflies, from hummingbirds gliding through the air to bats seeking food at night. Imagine in every forest, meadow, or garden, millions, even billions of flower cells are coordinating to create a complex message sent to animals announcing, I am ready to share my energy. And the reward is pollination, ensuring the continuation of life and the proliferation of the next generation. This is not merely survival, this is the art of existence. Flowers are among nature's most sophisticated survival strategies. Before flowers appeared, plants had to rely on wind or water to transport pollen, an effective but costly mechanism, highly dependent on chance. Imagine a strong wind blowing pollen everywhere, with only a tiny fraction reaching the correct female plant. It is like throwing millions of coins into the air, hoping they land on a target. But flowers opened a new era, intentional cooperation. By developing color, shape, and fragrance, flowers created a complex signaling system, attracting specific pollinators, guiding them directly to the energy source while simultaneously accomplishing pollen transfer. This was a major advancement. Instead of relying on luck, plants actively hire other organisms to do the work for them. Look closely at this process. A bright red flower on a wild shrub is not merely for beauty. The red color attracts hummingbirds, which can perceive light spectra humans cannot detect. A sweet nighttime scent can guide moths precisely to the waiting flower. Nectar is the reward. Pollen is the communication tool. This symbiosis not only creates a food chain, but also forms a vibrant network connecting plants, insects, birds, and even mammals. A forest or meadow becomes a biological city where every component has a role, and flowers are the traffic hubs where energy and information converge and disperse. But flowers do more than change our understanding of reproduction, they shape entire ecosystems. Each flower blooms in a season, at a specific hour of the day, even at a precise time of year, synchronizing pollinator activity and creating a sophisticated biological rhythm. This coordination helps maintain biodiversity and ecosystem stability. Without flowers, food chains would be disrupted, many insects would have no food, birds would lose their supply, and other animals would face energy shortages. Flowers, in their delicate beauty, keep the Earth's biological rhythm flowing smoothly. Moreover, flowers are an important part of the climate cycle. By absorbing carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, flowers contribute to reducing greenhouse gases and maintaining carbon balance. Their seemingly fragile petals are extensions of the grand photosynthetic system, helping regulate temperature, supporting the water cycle, and maintaining humidity in the surrounding air. When millions of flowers bloom simultaneously, they become an invisible climate control system, contributing to the stability of rainfall, wind, and temperature patterns from plains to deep forests. On a broader scale, flowers are also evolutionary engineers. Their diversity drives the evolution of pollinators, and in return, these pollinators exert selective pressure on flowers, resulting in the diversity of colors, shapes, and scents. This is a parallel, polite yet powerful race that has lasted millions of years, producing the strange flowers and insects we see today. Some flowers open only at night, some can only be pollinated by a single species of bee, and some develop specialized structures to protect pollen and seeds. This is proof of nature's boundless creativity. Furthermore, flowers play an important role in human life. Every flower we give, admire, or plant in a garden is part of an ecological process spanning millions of years. They are not merely decorations, they are the result of evolution, interspecies cooperation, and a part of the life-sustaining system. Each petal is a biological signal, an energy reservoir, a survival map, and a testament to nature's self-regulating ability. From bright petals, we can see a complex system at work. Sunlight is converted into energy, pollen is transferred by pollinators, carbon is stored in wood, and oxygen is released into the atmosphere. Flowers are the link in the vast network plants have built to connect the sun, soil, water, and air, to generate energy, maintain climate, and nourish life on Earth. They are proof that beauty and function can perfectly merge, and that evolution is not only about survival, but also about creation. Therefore, when we look at a flower, remember that it is not merely decoration. It is a biological machine, a climate engineer, an ecological planner, an energy chef, and an evolutionary artist. In every petal, in every stamen, in every drop of nectar lies the entire biological history, the complete energy cycle, and the full connection between organisms and the environment. Flowers do not just beautify the world, they operate the world. They silently yet powerfully continue writing the story of life, energy, and connection, a story that we as observers are fortunate to witness and learn from. From sunlight passing through petals, to the sound of insects on the stamens, to the movement of energy and carbon through forests, flowers are the center of a vast living system. Each petal, no matter how small, is a crucial link in the network that nature has woven over hundreds of millions of years. They remind us that beauty is never separate from function, and that life, no matter how diverse and complex, is regulated by extraordinarily subtle mechanisms. Flowers are living proof of this, a spiritual and biological treasure we must cherish and protect. Under the gentle sunlight of a peaceful morning, the world of seeds begins its silent journey, an adventure seemingly small but fundamental to life. Each seed, no matter how tiny, sometimes no bigger than the head of a pin, carries within it the entire blueprint for the development of a future plant. Roots to anchor deeply into the soil, a stem to withstand all the pressures of wind and storms, leaves to capture light, flowers to reproduce, and sometimes even a complex strategy to seek out and colonize new spaces. But what is astonishing is that most seeds do not move on their own. They entrust the opportunity for new life to natural forces and silent collaborators, from wind, water, and animals to the mechanical forces that plants have cleverly evolved over millions of years. Look at dandelions. A gentle breeze blows, and the entire field seems to erupt into a cloud of tiny white specks, each seed floating, gliding, and spinning through the air, searching for gaps with enough light and fertile soil. This natural design is simple but extremely effective. No legs, no strength required, just trust in the wind, and the seed will find where it needs to go. Meanwhile, other seeds, like maple seeds, are granted a technical performance. Their unique shape allows them to spin through the air like tiny helicopters, slowing their fall, extending their journey, and increasing the chances of a safe landing on the ground. This is evidence of the exquisite subtlety of evolution. Every detail, from the spinning wings, the oval shape, to the ideal weight, is adjusted to maximize the chances of survival and growth. Not only relying on wind, some seeds seek allies in water. Imagine coconuts drifting across the sea for months. They are mobile nurseries, encased in a hard shell and providing enough nutrients to germinate when they reach distant shores. In this way, these seeds can settle on islands thousands of kilometers from the coast, opening opportunities for survival and growth that would never be possible if they relied solely on the parent tree. Each seed is like a silent explorer, crossing oceans and obstacles just to find a patch of land for its next life. Plants also know how to enlist animals as collaborators. Some seeds are encased in hooks, tiny spines, or sticky coatings, easily clinging to fur, feathers, or human clothing without any effort from the plant. Animals become accidental carriers, transporting seeds tens or even hundreds of meters from the parent tree, reducing direct competition and expanding growing territory. Others actively invite cooperation. Juicy, sweet, brightly colored fruits emit enticing scents, not only for consumption but also to disperse seeds. Birds, bats, and even small mammals are persuaded to carry seeds elsewhere, and the seeds come with a natural fertilizer package when excreted, perfect for growth. The strategy of seed dispersal is sophisticated enough to synchronize with the ecological habits of animals. Some plants time fruiting to coincide with the migration or breeding seasons of fruit-eating species, ensuring that seeds are delivered at the right place and time. Others secure seeds by producing hard shells, requiring seeds to pass through digestion or special physical conditions before germinating. This ensures that seedlings do not grow in unsuitable locations, increasing survival chances and reproductive success. Some plants go even further, employing violent but effective strategies. Sandbox trees compress seeds under high pressure, shooting them out like an explosion, sending seeds far from the parent canopy. Cucumbers use hydraulic force to eject seeds. These seemingly crude tactics are evidence that nature is not only subtle but also creative in optimizing life. Whether by wind, water, animals, or explosions, the ultimate goal is the same: the spread of genes, expansion of territory, and ensuring that life is not confined to the shadow of the parent tree. Seeds, therefore, become centers of energy, living messages sent from the parent tree to the world. Take me so I may live and reproduce. And from these small strategies, entire ecosystems are shaped. Fields, forests, wetlands, and even our backyard gardens are the results of seeds that have undertaken these wondrous journeys. We eat fruit designed to attract us. We enjoy flowers unaware that beneath their beauty lies an excellent survival strategy, and the landscapes we cherish are direct outcomes of this subtle dispersal process. Moreover, astonishingly, most of these strategies do not require energy from the parent tree after the seed is produced. A dandelion does not need to climb mountains or swim across rivers to disperse its seeds. A cherry tree only needs to lure birds, and the rest is handled by nature. All of this relies on design, patience, and sometimes a touch of evolutionary magic. Even without human intervention, plants continue their work, dispersing, germinating, reproducing, and sustaining life on Earth. Ultimately, these tiny seeds are the foundation of all terrestrial life. They connect the past with the present, parent trees with the next generation, sunlight with our daily meals, animals, and insects. Each seed is a living testament to nature's biological intelligence, the delicate craft of evolution, and a silent journey that no species, except humans, can witness in its entirety. And in that moment, when you see a dandelion seed floating through the air, a coconut drifting on the sea, or a cherry falling into a bird's beak, you are witnessing an evolutionary story spanning millions of years, a story of life constantly seeking a path, moving relentlessly, and always striving toward the future. In the quiet world around us, plants are not merely sources of food or shelter. They are chemical masters, silent allies, and sometimes lifesavers for humanity. Consider medicinal herbs, opium poppies, or willow trees, species that may seem ordinary, but harbor the power to transform human life. They do not flee or resist. Instead, through millions of years of evolution, they have learned to protect themselves chemically, producing hundreds of different compounds, secondary metabolites, used for defense, communication, or interaction with the environment. Some of these compounds have become tools for healing humans, from pain relief and fever reduction to fighting infectious diseases and cancer. It is miraculous to know that a small aspirin on a pharmacy shelf originates from willow bark, discovered thousands of years ago by ancient farmers or healers. They observed, experimented, and recorded nature's methods of healing without a laboratory, without modern equipment, relying solely on curiosity, patience, and careful observation. The opium poppy, with its delicate flowers, provides morphine, one of the most powerful painkillers ever known. This power comes with the risk of addiction if misused, but that is not the plant's fault. Plants only provide the tools. How we use them determines the outcome. Similarly, the cinchona tree, whose bark contains quinine, became the first weapon against malaria, saving countless lives from the Americas to Africa and Asia. These small plants, quietly appearing on mountainsides or in tropical forests, have had global impacts, shaping history, shaping humanity, and opening the door to modern medicine. Even today, derivatives of plant compounds remain the backbone of many medical therapies, from cancer chemotherapy to cardiovascular drugs. But plants' healing abilities are not limited to chemical compounds. They also provide comfort, relaxation, and spiritual connection with nature. This is known as green therapy, a method of healing mind and body through contact with trees, gardens, and forests. Scientific studies show that merely looking at greenery through a window or walking through a forest can reduce stress, lower blood pressure, improve recovery after illness, and enhance mental well-being. A blooming lavender flower on a balcony can soothe the nervous system. The scent of an old forest can awaken memories and inner peace, like a silent remedy gifted by nature without any prescription or medicine cabinet. What is truly impressive is how plants intertwine biology, culture, and economy. The plants that feed us, rice, wheat, maize, or potatoes, not only provide calories, but also shape societies, civilizations, and human behavior. Wheat produces bread, a symbol of abundance. Maize enabled the rise of Maya and Aztec civilizations. Potatoes helped Europe increase population and promote urbanization. These plants even influence festivals, rituals, songs, and family traditions. They are a profound part of human spiritual life, reminding us of the connection between survival, labor, and culture. These seeds also demonstrate remarkable biological intelligence and adaptability. Some seeds fall on their own, some cling to animal fur, some drift along rivers or seas, and some propagate underground. All aim for one goal: spreading genes, seeking new spaces, and surviving. Thanks to these strategies, plants have created a living network, nurturing ecosystems while providing a reliable food source for humans. Yet, while they operate at full capacity to sustain their life cycles, they remain quiet and proud, needing neither attention nor praise. The power of plants is further evidenced by modern medical applications. From Madagascar, periwinkle leading to leukemia drugs for children, foxglove producing digitalis to regulate heart rhythm, to Pacific yew, Taxus brevifolia extracts used in cancer chemotherapy, all originate from the natural world. The chemical toolkit that plants developed over millions of years of evolution not only protects them, but also inspires modern science. When humans synthesize these compounds in laboratories, we do not create anything entirely new. We only refine controlled dosages and increase accessibility, building upon the intelligence gifted by nature. Plants, whether humble or majestic, are silent teachers of patience, creativity, and cooperation. They teach us that power does not lie in explosion or noise, but in adaptability, quiet growth, and creating lasting impact. A seed beneath the soil, a blooming flower, or a fruit laden branch is evidence of skill, subtlety, and the capacity to make a profound difference. They connect biology, culture, and society into a continuous chain where every meal, every medical therapy, every quiet moment in nature is part of the evolutionary and cooperative story spanning millennia between humans and plants. Looking around, one might overlook their presence, for trees and fruits always exist quietly. But if one stops to observe, it becomes clear that the world is nurtured not only by calories, but also by biological intelligence, by subtle dispersal strategies, and by nature's healing power. Plants sustain the body and nourish the soul. They need no praise or attention, yet their influence on history, civilization, health, and the human spirit is immense. From golden rice fields, humid rainforests, to city gardens, plants continue their silent work, sustaining life, healing, inspiring, and connecting all living beings. In the lush green world around us, trees are not merely silent beings standing firm on the ground. They are complex entities, capable of sensing, responding, and communicating in ways we have never imagined. Every leaf fluttering in the wind, every root penetrating deep into the soil, and every tiny fungal thread weaving through the humus contribute to a multi-layered, intricate, and silent living network. Even when we overlook them in the rush of life, trees quietly perform astonishing behaviors: defense, warning, resource sharing, and even educating one another. When a tree is injured, for instance, by insects nibbling on its leaves, it releases volatile organic compounds, chemical signals invisible to us, that surrounding trees detect and prepare defenses. Not merely individual reactions, neighboring trees also increase the production of defensive compounds such as tannins or alkaloids, demonstrating a form of coordination rarely recognized. Even underground, roots and fungi form hidden networks, exchanging carbon, water, and nutrients. Healthy trees can support seedlings or sick trees, or adjust growth based on competition and resources nearby. This is not fiction, but findings from actual research on the long-standing symbiotic relationship between trees and fungi, a relationship that has existed for over 400 million years. This underground network, which many scientists liken to the Internet of the forest, shows that trees never truly live in isolation. An old-growth forest is a biological community where every individual interacts and coordinates intricately. Plants do not need a brain or nervous system to perform these behaviors. They use slow electrical signals, chemical compounds, and physical connections via fungi to gather, process, and respond to information. For example, the Venus flytrap can close its leaves when it detects prey via sensitive hairs. The sensitive plant, Mimosa pudica, folds its leaves when touched, but can learn to distinguish dangerous stimuli from harmless ones, adjusting its response based on memory stored for weeks. This is a form of intelligence we never thought plants could possess: the ability to observe, remember, and make decisions based on the environment, all without a centralized brain like animals. The adaptive capabilities of trees are equally astonishing. They sense light, gravity, temperature, humidity, and chemical concentrations in air and soil, measure day length, predict seasons, and adjust flowering times for optimal outcomes, even recognize close relatives to modify growth rates. A tree living for hundreds of years experiences thousands of sunrises, storms, and the organisms inhabiting its trunk or roots, serving as a living data repository about the environment and changes over time. They integrate that experience into their growth and development, rooting deeply, expanding foliage, and adjusting branches to survive and optimize energy absorption. This flexibility, spanning decades or even centuries, can be considered a unique form of plant intelligence. But plant intelligence and communication extend beyond individual life. Seeds, seemingly inert, also respond to their surroundings. They can detect the presence of other plants, altering germination rates to avoid competition or take advantage of opportunities. Some seeds delay germination under high competition, while others accelerate growth to claim space and sunlight. This is not random behavior, but context-sensitive strategies, evidence of plants' persistence and evolutionary ingenuity. In parallel, the relationship between plants and humans is profound and enduring. For thousands of years, humans have learned to use plants for medicine, food, and spiritual inspiration. Gardens, herbs, teas, and ancient medicinal plants provided comfort during scarcity, wars, or pandemics. Today, research on cannabinoids, psilocybin, ayahuasca, ashwagandha, and turmeric not only opens new horizons in mental health, pain management, and neural recovery, but also reminds us that plants remain trustworthy and silent allies. They grow, produce compounds, and offer them to us without demanding recognition. They entrust all effects to time, allowing life, intelligence, and healing to occur in silence. Looking deep into forests, into every garden, we see a world built on cooperation, connection, and subtle responsiveness. Fungal threads connecting roots, chemical compounds warning leaves, seeds calculating germination timing, all form a complex biological network where information and resources flow continuously, ensuring ecosystem stability and resilience. This network, though invisible to humans, is living proof of plants' intelligence, patience, and extraordinary adaptability. When we learn to observe, listen, and respect them, we not only understand life, but also the nature of connection, natural rhythms, and the perseverance upon which all living beings, including humans, depend. Over millions of years, plants have shaped the planet, shaped humanity, and continue to sustain life in ways we are only beginning to comprehend. A forest is not merely a collection of trees, it is a community, a knowledge system, a resource bank, and a living laboratory. Every step in the forest, or glance at a vegetable bed or medicinal plant, is an entry into a silent yet meaningful dialogue where plants continue to teach us how to observe, listen, and adapt. That lush green world is not silent because it has nothing to say, but because its messages are conveyed through languages we are only beginning to decode. Beneath the forest canopy, beneath the layer of green soil cover, a world far more complex and delicate than the eye can perceive is at work. Networks of mycorrhizal fungi, roots, and cooperative microorganisms form a tightly linked biological community where each tree, each blade of grass, each patch of moss is a vital link. A birch tree glowing in the sunlight does not exist solely for itself. The surplus energy it produces through photosynthesis can be transmitted, weaving through fungal threads to neighboring trees struggling in the shade or recovering from damage. This network operates like a silent economy, where trees do not merely compete, but learn to share and support one another, ensuring that energy and resources are optimized for the entire ecosystem. Older trees, sometimes called mother trees, provide carbon and guide seedlings in root development, protecting the community from isolation and collapse while ensuring life spreads sustainably across generations. This generous behavior, of course, is not altruism in the human sense. It is the result of long term evolution and symbiosis, where each individual in the network learns to adjust, share, and respond to environmental changes. Chemical signals transmitted through the microbial network warn neighboring trees of insects or fungal infections, allowing them to enhance the production of defensive compounds before the threat becomes severe. Trees can even assess the relative health of peers. Weak or diseased trees may experience reduced connectivity, conserving resources for healthier individuals. This is a form of subtle ecological triage, ensuring balance and efficiency for the entire community, all occurring quietly, without sound or noisy electrical signals. The scale of this network is truly astounding. Some ecosystems possess mycorrhizal networks stretching over thousands of hectares, connecting every tree in the forest. In Oregon, a single fungal species has spread across more than 2,000 acres of forest soil, becoming the largest living organism on Earth by area, existing for thousands of years, largely unnoticed by humans. Through this connectivity, the forest maintains ecological stability, ensuring water, nutrients, and information flow continuously through every link. Yet this network is fragile. Soil disruption, pollution, or biodiversity loss can all break this delicate structure, weakening the self-regulating capacity of the entire ecosystem. Plants' ability to manage water is another testament to the wonder of ecosystems. Roots function as natural sponges, absorbing rainfall, retaining moisture, and preventing soil erosion. During dry periods, vegetation, from tropical rainforests to mangroves, helps maintain stream flow and water balance. Transpiration from leaves not only replenishes atmospheric moisture, but also creates conditions for cloud formation and rainfall, sustaining a stable hydrological cycle. Even wetlands, often considered useless, act as the kidneys of the landscape, filtering water, retaining sediments, absorbing excess nutrients, and protecting coastal waters from pollution. Mangroves, with overlapping roots, not only stabilize coastlines, but also protect communities, support biodiversity, and sequester carbon more effectively than most terrestrial forests. Even small, often overlooked plants like mosses play crucial roles in water management. They absorb water many times their own weight and gradually release moisture back into the environment, helping maintain steady flow for streams, rivers, and lakes. In deserts, cacti and succulents have developed intricate water storage mechanisms. Waxy coatings, shallow roots, and compact stems allow them to survive long dry seasons. Even shrubs and dry grasses contribute by holding soil, reducing evaporation, and conserving moisture just below the surface. This ecological network not only regulates water, but sustains life on a global scale. When trees are destroyed, wetlands dry up, or mangroves disappear, water flow is disrupted, floods intensify, droughts become more frequent, and soils lose their capacity to retain moisture. Yet, when vegetation is restored, forests replanted, and wetlands rehabilitated, water returns to its rhythm. Rainfall stabilizes, groundwater replenishes, soils regain porosity, and ecosystems rebalance. Even plant transpiration contributes to cloud formation, moderates temperature, and delivers necessary rainfall, creating a subtle feedback loop. At the urban scale, greenery produces similar effects on a micro level. Rain gardens, parks, and green roofs reduce temperature, slow runoff, and improve air quality. Water filtered through soil and retained by roots becomes cleaner and safer, demonstrating plants' role as natural infrastructure. Greenery not only beautifies the landscape, but also acts as architect, manager, and regulator of water, ensuring that life on Earth is sustained sustainably. Even the smallest leaf is a link in this vast network. It absorbs, stores, uses, and releases water in sophisticated ways, connecting not only with other leaves, but also with roots, fungi, and surrounding microorganisms. Through every pathway, every stream, every vapor rising from the canopy, Earth self-hydrates and balances its hydrological rhythm. It is a silent miracle, a system operating through sharing, connectivity, and symbiosis that we are only beginning to understand. Astonishingly, all of these processes occur without consciousness or deliberate intervention. Plants do not decide rationally, but evolution has equipped them with biological, chemical, and physical mechanisms to sustain life for themselves and the surrounding community. As you walk through a forest, observe lush vegetation, or pause by a wetland, remember that beneath your feet, an intricate network is at work, transmitting energy, sharing water, signaling danger, and nurturing new generations. It is the silent heartbeat of life, reminding us that even in stillness, extraordinary connection and coordination exist. Beneath the quiet surface of the plant world, chemistry is not just a language. It is an intricate survival strategy and a symphonic expression of symbiosis. Every molecule, from vivid pigments to bitter compounds, has been crafted through millions of years of evolution, shaping the way plants interact with the world around them and with us. When standing before a brightly colored flower, few realize that its red, yellow, or purple petals are precise electronic messages sent to pollinators. Here is nectar, come and exchange pollen. Yet at the same time, these pigments also protect the petals themselves from excessive radiation, prevent cellular damage, and even influence surrounding microorganisms. Every leaf, every branch is not merely a physical structure, but a chemical information hub, a subtle communication point in the ecological network we rarely perceive. At the same time, fruits are masterful chemical engineers. When ripe, they release sugars, aromas, and pigments, turning themselves into invitations for animal allies to eat them and disperse their seeds. But chemistry here is not just an invitation, it is also a selective mechanism. Unripe fruit, bitter and astringent, sends the signal not ready, helping seeds reach optimal maturity before leaving the parent plant. Some plants even produce compounds that affect the taste perception of frugivores, guiding them toward desired behaviors, such as thorough chewing to disperse seeds farther. Every action is calculated, not by consciousness, but by evolutionary intelligence encoded in molecules. Chemical defense is another facet of plant survival. Capsaicin in chili peppers is a clear warning, a barrier that deters mammals from eating the fruit, while birds remain unaffected, allowing seed dispersal. Nicotine, caffeine, alkaloids, and other bitter or toxic compounds are produced to control unwanted organisms. Some even have strong neurological or mechanical effects, like castor beans or stinging nettles, imposing severe consequences on intruders. These compounds simultaneously establish boundaries between who may approach and who must stay away, maintaining ecological balance without requiring intelligence or consciousness in the human sense. Yet plants are not just chemical warriors, they are diplomats. When attacked, they emit volatile chemical signals, such as tomato plants releasing scents as a reminder to neighboring plants danger is approaching. Neighboring plants receiving the signal begin producing defensive compounds, stiffening leaves or secreting bitter chemicals, and even attracting predators of the attacking caterpillars. This is a form of collective intelligence, requiring neither eyes nor ears, functioning entirely through chemicals, connecting individuals into a survival network. The power of chemistry is not only expressed in defense or attraction, it also creates sophisticated symbiotic relationships. In coral reefs, zooxantha algae live within coral tissues, providing energy in the form of sugars via photosynthesis, while the coral protects the algae, keeping them close to light. When the ecosystem is stressed, corals expel the algae, leading to bleaching and mass mortality. This demonstrates that even tiny organisms can play a decisive role in ecological networks, and chemistry is the main language coordinating all these relationships. Humans have long recognized this chemical treasure, exploiting it with sophistication and sometimes astonishing ingenuity. We dye fabrics with plant pigments, ferment sugars into alcohol, extract essential oils, produce pain relieving medicines, or create flavors from seeds. Vanilla, cinnamon, nutmeg, cloves, all are the result of learning from plants' chemical strategies. We learn to respect the power, danger, and wonder contained in every molecule. Furthermore, plant chemistry underpins life and climate balance. Phytoplankton, tiny oceanic algae, photosynthesize and release oxygen while absorbing carbon dioxide. When they die, they sink to the ocean floor, sequestering carbon in sediments for millennia, a highly efficient biological pump that regulates climate and sustains life. Kelp forests, home to otters, sea urchins, and seals, operate similarly, nurturing organisms, regulating energy, and maintaining ecological balance. Thus, chemistry forms the foundation for life both on land and in the sea, sustaining every tree, insect, bird, and the life of the earth itself. From microscopic algal cells to vividly colored flowers to towering kelp forests, all living beings use chemistry to interact, protect, and nurture each other. It is an invisible yet powerful network, requiring no spoken word, yet controlling the rhythms of life and ensuring the survival of millions of species. And so, when you walk through a forest or gaze across the deep blue ocean, imagine the chemical strategies unfolding around you. Picture the algal cells, the radiant flower petals, the roots burrowed deep into the soil, all exchanging signals, protecting, attracting, and adjusting the environment. Every compound, pigment, and drop of nectar is a message, a strategy, a survival method. Plants do not merely stand still. They are engineers, diplomats, warriors, and chemical wizards, creating a living network that is intricate, ancient, and immortal. In that silence, we see an important lesson. Power does not need to be loud. The deepest impacts often occur in the shadows, through subtle interactions that only nature can arrange perfectly. And within every molecule, every leaf, every algal cell, life continues, quietly, resiliently, and fully. Beneath the verdant surface of the plant world, life always finds ways to survive, adapt, and profoundly influence the surrounding environment in ways we seldom recognize. Plants are not merely the foundation of the food chain or a source of oxygen. They are ecological engineers, artists, and silent warriors, mapping the biological and cultural landscape of the planet. Let us begin with ancient forests. The canopies of the Amazon, Congo, or Siberian taiga do more than shelter countless species. They are immense climate factories. Leaves perform photosynthesis, roots draw water from deep underground, trunks store carbon, all working together to maintain the rhythm of life for the planet. Yet, if we observe only from the outside, we miss the wondrous stories unfolding within each plant cell. Chemistry is the secret language that plants use to communicate, survive, and influence the world around them. A flower may exude fragrance to attract bees, but that same scent can confuse predatory insects, keeping the plant safe. A seemingly harmless green leaf may contain anesthetic or toxic compounds to defend against herbivores while still absorbing sunlight to fuel photosynthesis. Bright colors, from deep red to iridescent purple, are not mere decoration. They are signals, warnings, invitations, or deterrents aimed at pollinators, insects, birds, and even humans. Over millions of years of evolution, plants have become masters of balance, both alluring and defensive, providing and protecting all at once. But not all plants follow the calm law of photosynthesis. Some become predators, some steal nutrients, and some employ ingenious tricks to survive. Carnivorous plants like the Venus flytrap, bladderwort, or pitcher plant are living proof of evolution's extraordinary creativity. They lure insects with color, scent, and nectar, then swiftly trap prey to compensate for nutrient-poor soil. Even underwater, bladderworts can suck in tiny organisms in a fraction of a millisecond, proving that plants are far from passive. The world of carnivorous plants demonstrates that survival relies not only on light or water, but on strategy, reflexes, and astonishingly complex mechanisms. Parasites and mimics are also vivid examples of biological ingenuity. Rafflesia, the world's largest flower, has no leaves or stems of its own and survives by drawing nutrients from a host plant, emitting a stench of rotting flesh to attract flies for pollination. Orchids mimic female insects to deceive male pollinators, a sophisticated biological trick perfected by nature. Plants like Bocchila trifoliata can alter their leaf shape to mimic their host, an ability to sense and respond to chemical cues in the surrounding environment, almost a form of intelligence. Written in biology. Even tiny sensitive plants like Mimosa pudica fold their leaves instantly when touched, demonstrating that movement and reaction are not solely the domain of animals. Plants also use scent and temperature as strategic weapons. The corpse flower, Amorphophallus titanum, emits a strong odor to attract beetles and flies, while smelly cabbage can produce heat and pungent aromas to lure early season pollinators. In arid deserts, Welwitschia in Namibia survives thousands of years with only 2 leaves by absorbing fog. In tropical regions, walking trees grow new roots towards sunlight, creating the impression of slow movement. From predation to parasitism, from mimicry to movement, the plant world continually challenges every definition of passive life. Plant creativity does not stop at survival. It has shaped human civilization. As humans transitioned from nomads to settled farmers, plants became central to society. Grains, tubers, fruit trees, and medicinal plants all shaped lifestyles, beliefs, economies, and culture. Trees became symbols, from the tree of life in Mesopotamia to the world tree in Norse mythology, from sacred banyans in India to trees reigning in the Garden of Eden. Fruits, wood, flowers, and scents became food, medicine, fuel, cosmetics, symbols, and artistic inspiration. Humans domesticated plants, altering them to suit needs, while plants simultaneously shaped architecture, irrigation, and even social knowledge. Plants also profoundly influenced economics and politics. Spices, tea, coffee, and tobacco not only sustained populations but also created trade routes, drove exploration, and fueled colonial expansion. Even papyrus in Egypt, or tulips during the Renaissance, became symbols of power, wealth, and curiosity. Today, greenhouses, botanical gardens, and research institutions reflect reverence for the plant world, studying and harnessing the biological treasure that nature created. Yet beyond broad influence, humans share close personal connections with plants. An herb garden, a climbing vine on a wall, or a sacred forest spared from logging all demonstrate the delicate bond between humans and plants. Festivals, seasonal rituals, monasteries, and monks tending medicinal gardens show that plants do not merely live for themselves. They exist within the cultural, spiritual, and survival rhythms of humanity. Overall, the plant world is a complex network where every compound, pigment, scent, trapping mechanism, movement, parasitism, mimicry, and reaction creates a marvelous dance of life. They not only nurture the planet, but also cultivate civilization, culture, and the human spirit. From the tiniest algae to the towering trees of tropical rainforests, plants shape the planet through their beauty, strategy, and silent power. In the lush green world, nothing is static or simple. Every leaf, flower, and fragrance is part of a story of survival, creativity, and influence spanning billions of years. Plants, silently yet resiliently, have become the foundation of life, the quiet heartbeat of the earth, and a testament to nature's boundless creativity. Under the artificial lights of the space station, amidst countless metals and plastics, a tiny green leaf becomes a miracle. It is not merely a plant, it is a bridge between humans and the planet they have left behind. As astronauts tend each leaf of lettuce, each small radish plant, they practice an ancient art of survival, but this time in a completely new context where soil, water, and gravity no longer follow familiar rules. In microgravity, roots cannot grow downward into the soil. Water does not fall but floats as sparkling droplets. Light does not come from a distant sun but is regulated, balanced, and tuned to simulate natural wavelengths. Every drop of water, every ray of light must be carefully managed, for any misstep could cause a fragile sprout to wither. Yet plants in space are not just a matter of physics or biology. They are proof of human necessity and ingenuity when faced with an unprecedented environment. Green plants in sterile modules remind astronauts of Earth's familiar rhythms, of the seasons they once knew: sowing, nurturing, harvesting. They bring a sense of peace amidst isolation, reminding them that even hundreds of kilometers away from their home planet, it is possible to maintain a connection with green life and the rhythm of survival. It is as if the leaves themselves whisper, "We still exist, and so can you if you care for us." The story of lettuce, radishes, or zinnias flowers goes beyond physiology. They are psychological symbols, spiritual milestones. In an extremely isolated environment, surrounded by cold metal and artificial light, humans can easily lose orientation, both physically and mentally. A green leaf, a crisp vegetable sprig, not only provides vitamins and minerals, it reminds us that the world continues, that life still flows despite the surrounding endless stillness. Psychological studies have shown that the presence of green plants in enclosed environments reduces stress, improves heart rate, enhances focus, and even helps maintain stable sleep. In space, where all natural elements must be simulated, this role becomes even more crucial. Moreover, growing plants in space presents unprecedented evolutionary biology challenges. Green plants have never had to adapt to a weightless environment, where gravity does not pull roots downward, where water and nutrients do not flow naturally. Yet astronauts and scientists have discovered that plants can adjust, growing roots toward nutrient-rich areas, orienting leaves toward light, and responding to the environment almost flexibly. This demonstrates the extraordinary adaptability of plants. From dense tropical forests to arid deserts to the near infinite expanse of space, they still find ways to thrive. Beyond that, space-growing projects serve as reminders of the profound connection between humans and plants. Since prehistoric times, human civilization has arisen thanks to the ability to sow, harvest, and manage relationships with plants. We built villages, towns, and cities on fertile land with carefully selected and nurtured crops. We developed culture, religion, language, economy, and knowledge based on plants. In space, as humans step beyond Earth, growing plants becomes a way not only to sustain life, but also to preserve identity, memory, and emotion. A flower blooming in a space module, a slowly growing tomato, carries the cultural history of humanity: patience, care, connection with nature, and the will to survive. Growing plants in space also opens a vision for humanity's long-term future. If humans are to survive beyond Earth, from the moon to Mars, they must learn to carry green life, to create sustainable environments in entirely artificial settings. Plants are not only food, they help filter air, recycle water, stabilize temperature, and maintain ecological balance in closed modules. Space is no longer inert and indifferent. Thanks to plants, it becomes rhythmic, alive, and can even evoke a sense of closeness to Earth, where every leaf, every seed is a quiet miracle. In this process, humans and plants evolve together. Astronauts learn to read the plant's responses, understand how leaves absorb light and water, recognize signs of stress or growth. Conversely, plants learn to adapt to an unusual environment where gravity is undefined and artificial light alters photosynthetic cycles. This is a form of symbiosis, a cooperative relationship between green life and humans, echoing the ancient relationship on Earth, but in a completely new context: a distant planet or a space station orbiting Earth. And here, among crisp leaves and blooming flowers, we see clearly the importance of plant life. They are seeds of hope, proof of patience, adaptability, and nature's latent intelligence. In space, where humans seem to control everything with technology and machinery, it is green plants that remind us that civilization cannot exist without the presence of vegetation. Every leaf is a lesson in life. Every vegetable sprig is a reminder of rhythms once familiar and at risk of being forgotten. Finally, the space garden experiment is not just science or engineering, it is a philosophy of life. It reminds us that even as humans reach for the stars, rely on machines and technology, we still need Earth's natural rhythms, the silent yet powerful presence of plants. Tiny green leaves floating in microgravity symbolize connection, survival, and the ability to harmonize with nature, even when nature no longer resembles what we once knew. Within each healthy, thriving sprout exists an entire planet, a civilization, and a story of the inseparable relationship between humans and the green world they have left behind, but must continue to preserve. Amid the fast paced life of the 21st century, the sight of green towers of vegetables rising within old warehouses, shipping containers transformed into hydroponic farms, and abandoned commercial buildings turned into fertile ground stands as evidence of a significant turning point in the relationship between humans and plants. We are learning to bring plants back into the heart of cities, not merely as aesthetic elements, but as vital axes of modern society. In vertical farms, each layer of crops is not only an effort to optimize space, but also a subtle harmony between science and nature. LED lighting systems change wavelengths according to each stage of plant growth. Water and nutrients are continuously circulated, and microorganisms are added to support optimal root absorption. From the outside, they may resemble stacked concrete pillars, but upon closer observation, each plant, each leaf is a living entity, breathing, exchanging energy and information with its surrounding environment. These innovations serve not only crowded cities, but also have profound implications for the future of global agriculture. In the context of climate change, prolonged droughts, and overexploited farmland, these systems offer opportunities to maintain stable food supplies with minimal water and land usage. They are a reminder that plants are not just sources of food, but also foundations of sustainability and long-term survival. Just as humans step beyond Earth to explore the moon or Mars, optimizing plant cultivation in artificial environments is a way to learn how to live harmoniously with nature right here on our own planet. Interestingly, in this process, plants teach us a valuable lesson about rhythm and time. When we look at vertical farms, layers of fresh green lettuce or carrots growing in hydroponic setups, we begin to realize that plants are never in a hurry. They grow according to their own rhythm, slowly, patiently, and continuously. A lettuce leaf begins photosynthesis before we can even close our eyes. A carrot continues to accumulate energy from light and water while we are busy with our hectic schedules. Plants remind us that progress does not always need to be rapid to become strong, that patience is a form of power, and that quiet growth can yield results beyond expectation. In urban and space agriculture experiments, we see a living metaphor. To sustain life, humans must learn to cooperate with nature, not merely control it. Closed-loop systems in hydroponic farms where water and nutrients are continuously recycled remind us of Earth's natural cycles that we often forget. They not only provide food but also regenerate oxygen, stabilize humidity, and maintain ecological balance in enclosed environments. More importantly, they affect human psychology. A researcher has shown that when an individual works with, cares for, or simply observes plants, heart rate and blood pressure stabilize, stress decreases, and mental clarity improves. In modern cities, where green spaces are increasingly limited, bringing plants closer to humans is no longer a mere aesthetic choice, but a spiritual necessity. The relationship between humans and plants also carries deep historical and cultural significance. From the legendary hanging gardens of Babylon to meticulously maintained Japanese gardens, plants have always been part of civilization, serving as a means to mark time, seasons, and societal development. In modern projects, from hydroponic containers in New York to vertical farms in Singapore, we are not merely growing food, we are recreating that cultural connection, the rhythm of plants, patience, care, and respect for nature, within a context of advanced technology. Plants become teachers, reminding us that progress is measured not only by speed, but also by sustainability and harmony. Even in small details, such as illuminating plants with pink LED lights, we witness the subtle intelligence of artificial science combined with the natural intelligence of plants. Each light wavelength is calculated to stimulate efficient photosynthesis. Each drop of water is precisely circulated for maximum root absorption, and each microorganism added to soil or hydroponic solution simulates the complex relationships that exist in old growth forests. Upon closer observation, plants remain at the center of all life, and humans are learning to work with them rather than against them. This combination of technology and nature opens unprecedented possibilities. We can grow plants in places once thought hopeless: deserts, rooftops, basements, or even space stations orbiting Earth. We are learning to bring natural cycles into artificial environments, recycle air and water, and nurture biomass without relying on traditional soil. This is a future where plants are not only food sources, but co authors in the process of survival, bridges between technology, biology, and culture. Finally, in all these high tech efforts, plants retain their poetry and inherent rhythm. They teach humans patience, keen observation, and harmony with nature. When we look at verdant, chlorophyll rich plants in a warehouse or container, we are seeing a symbol of a future in which humans and plants coexist, grow together, and jointly ensure survival. Plants are not merely food, not merely oxygen, not merely decoration. They are a silent heartbeat, a delicate lifeline, a bridge connecting humanity's past, present, and future. Amid the fast pace of modern city life, the sight of skyscraper farms, hydroponic vegetable gardens in shipping containers, or warehouses transformed into urban agricultural hubs is not only a symbol of technology, but also a testament to the adaptability of humans alongside plants. These systems use up to 95% less water than traditional agriculture, eliminate the need for pesticides, and allow year round cultivation, opening a vision where plants are no longer victims of seasons or harsh weather. They become silent allies, providing food, cooling the air, and nourishing the soil, while humans learn to listen to their rhythms. In cramped urban spaces where green areas are increasingly scarce, bringing plants closer is not only an intelligent solution, but also revolutionary, reminding us of the central role of greenery in sustaining life. The story does not end with optimizing space and resources. Biotechnology is opening a new chapter for the green world. Tools like CRISPR allow scientists to edit DNA with high precision, making crops more resilient, efficient, and nutritious. These innovations are no longer bold genetic combinations like fish into strawberries, but rather fine tuning nature, enabling plants to adapt to conditions that would normally take centuries of evolution. From non bruising tomatoes, fungus resistant bananas, to wheat that can grow in salty soils, each technological step is a way for humans to learn to harmonize with the limits and latent potential of plants. Some experts see this as an essential tool in the fight against hunger and climate change. Others caution about unforeseen risks, from the concentration of power in large corporations to potential ecological consequences. But the future of greenery is not only in technology, it also lies in rediscovery and conservation. Among the thousands of domesticated plant species, countless others still hold survival secrets in harsh conditions. Moringa, breadfruit, amaranth, these ancient species may become food, medicine, or sustainable materials in the 21st century. Scientists, from rainforests to deserts, search for these traits to support sustainable agriculture. Even in space missions, studying cultivation in closed biospheres serves not only the moon or Mars, but also offers lessons on water conservation, nutrient recycling, and restoring life cycles back to Earth. In all these efforts, one truth remains: plants are not merely resources, they are partners. In many indigenous traditions, plants are regarded as beings, teachers, or members of the community. In Japan, before cutting flowers, many people express gratitude with a short phrase. In the US, during the Hadanosa Thanksgiving speech, appreciation for trees is central. These perspectives are not outdated but essential, especially as the future of the green world faces climate change and pressures on the global food system. They remind us that patience, humility, and the ability to recognize nature's limits are indispensable. Biodiversity and agricultural diversity are also decisive factors. The current food system, though efficient, is fragile. The bananas we eat today, the Cavendish variety, are genetic copies of millions of other plants, vulnerable to a single fungus. Sustainable futures require diversity, from agroforestry, indigenous farming methods, to community gardens or ancient seeds passed down through generations. It is not about choosing a single path, but connecting multiple paths to create a multi layered, resilient, and flexible living system. Even technological advances are only part of this process. Skyscraper farms, genetically modified cereals, or advanced hydroponic systems are useful, but they cannot replace care, subtle observation, and interaction with plants. The patience to let plants grow naturally, the wisdom to intervene when necessary, and the recognition of the value of each leaf and sprout all are lessons that mere technology cannot substitute. Plants remain the foundation of life, providing air, food, medicine, and soil, all arising from their generosity and patience. The silence of plants is the true wonder. They do not demand attention, push, or hurry. They transform light into nutrients, turn water and soil into life, silently supporting all creatures on the planet. When we walk past a green tree, notice a patch of moss, or observe a potted plant leaning toward a window, we have an opportunity to recognize this subtle rhythm. A moment to pause, breathe slowly, and feel the presence of plants is how we immerse ourselves in the natural rhythm, realizing that life is not only about actions, but also about quiet, meaningful existence. The future of greenery is the convergence of technology, tradition, and ecological knowledge. It includes smart cities with skyscraper gardens, circulating hydroponic systems, but also remembers old growth forests, community gardens, and ancient seeds. It reminds us that humans and plants do not exist separately. We share one planet, one rhythm of life, and a common responsibility. When we look deeper, we realize that plants do not merely support life, they are life itself, patient, generous, and silently teaching us to appreciate, to wait, and to live in harmony. And in that moment, when you pause beneath a canopy, inhale the fresh air, and watch light filter through leaves, you understand that technological advances, futuristic farms, and ancient seeds all combine to create a green, sustainable planet. A planet where plants continue to be at the center, maintaining a quiet but powerful rhythm, reminding us that life, even at its most silent, is still growing, still breathing, and always beside us.